Where would you like to have a breakthrough in your life? What has been percolating beneath the surface that you feel is about to change, that there is new clarity coming in about? Let me know in the comments below, because I really feel over the last number of weeks there's this warming up, a very slowly warming up to breakthroughs, and it could be little tiny breakthroughs that lead to a huge new pattern of being, a new way of seeing yourself in your life. Hello, I'm Kristen. This is In the Good, and here is our weekly conversation around the energies. What do we need to know? What's bubbling up to the surface? What's being lit up? What lies beneath? What's the way forward? What are we coming into the week with? What did we integrate? What are we coming in with? Intensity. So perhaps last week something intense happened, or there was an intensity. Perhaps it was an intensity warming up to a breakthrough, and it was quite intense. Maybe there was a clarity or a breakthrough around clarity about understanding a situation, a relationship going on, an environment that you're in. And it was like you were all at once thrust into the truth of who you are, or the truth around the situation. So where are you with it right now, in the present? Silence. So you're taking time after this intensity, after this understanding that was perhaps very jarring or unsettling, or I like to call it divine disruption. It's almost like it had to happen. It was unavoidable. And now you're taking a moment to contemplate, to reflect, to have a pause, to give yourself rest and relaxation, to be in silence with yourself as you come to this new understanding, as you integrate this new understanding. It may have been intense, and therefore you physically just need to take a moment. This is a time to meditate, just be in silence, journal, go to more yoga, take walks, be in nature. Be in that silence. Go to bed early. Wake up a little bit early. For some of you, waking up early and having silence perhaps in the house before other people get up, or if you're living alone like myself, just being able to have a bit of stillness before the day starts. Even if it's simply just to breathe, listen to something relaxing. Some of you really, really want to get into a journal practice because you don't want to fight with yourself anymore. You're going into a place this week where you want to let go of the intensity that has been happening. There's a place where we don't want our identity to get wrapped up into, I'm going through this intense rebirthing process, or this intense personal growth process, or sometimes this intense healing process. I've really been working on myself. And we can over-identify with that. And it's like taking a break, taking a moment, realizing that you don't want to be fighting with yourself anymore. You don't want to be fighting this environment or these energies. You don't want to be fighting with yourself. What else? With the Hierophant, you want to build a structure according to what your higher self wants. This is connecting with that part of yourself that is the spiritual leader of your own life, because you don't have to necessarily be a healer or in any kind of spiritual community, although those things are all wonderful. But it's like, how do I be a spiritual leader in my own life, in my own company, as I guide myself through my relationships? How can I look at things from this higher self aspect, so I can integrate all this work that I'm doing on myself? Because the Hierophant knows how to delegate the responsibilities to others in your life, knows how to resource so that they have time for themselves. You can't get everything done that you need to get done if you're fighting for your energy, for your own inner resource. It doesn't have to be so intense all the time. Sometimes we are in a cycle of life that has to be intense, and we're constantly, it's like this. We're moving forward and moving forward. We're learning a lesson. This is happening, this challenge, and we're getting it and we're meeting it and we're being resilient and we're going through it. And then, there has to be integration. There has to be a pause. We have to be the spiritual leader of our own life and demand it of ourselves, because others won't follow if we don't demand that. Because a cycle of challenge is wanting to close. There has been a season of intensity, and we don't want to continuously perpetuate this experience. At some point, we have to take responsibility for how we continue to allow an experience to be over-identified in our lives. That we're the ones that perhaps are sometimes allowing an environment, a situation, a relationship, a group of people to infringe on our own peace of mind, right? And just because other people are trying to start a war with us doesn't mean that we have to participate. There is a time to take up the sword, right? There is a time to speak. And then there is a time to be silent and to sit in a quality of leadership. It's about not fighting or debating or trying to prove our point. It's about sitting strong in our convictions with who we are. Because really, a lot of it is just trying to prove it to ourselves, and we're trying to prove it to others. And stop trying to prove it to yourself. Just know it. And I know that that's easier said than done, and I think that's where taking time. Because what's the secret that you've kept from yourself? Or this is also not knowing everything, not knowing why life has cycled in and out of these experiences that are intense and challenging. Like, why did this happen? And sometimes we just are never going to know. And I'm picturing like a knot, and it's a big ball of yarn, and everything is tangled together, and we can spend a lot of time overanalyzing and trying to tease out what this different manipulation and dark moment and betrayal, and why did this person do this, and how come I got myself there. And sometimes it's not worth trying to tease it all out or trying to untangle it anymore. It's simply, you have to just toss it out. You have to allow it to disintegrate. There's a certain amount of energy that you no longer have, right? Because this is our energy as well, that you have to put in to trying to overanalyze, or for some of you, like, this is trying to stop something from happening. Why is this happening? Why is this happening? It's you having the power to end the cycle. You know, regardless of how it may manifest itself, people are going to continue to do what they want to do. Situations continue to fold out of our control sometimes. But we can have a perspective with our higher self that allows us to be an observer of it and not in it, right? So we want to step back and be the observer. And even just to do that, even if you're still feeling yucky and intense, to even have an awareness, okay, I'm observing this. I'm in a freeze state. I'm in this. But to even acknowledge those things is to also acknowledge that you're not as in it as you were. And that's self-awareness. The Hanged Man, it's like you have a different perspective now on something, and you can't go back. You can't go back to thinking the way you did. You can't go back to doing things the way that you did. A cycle of something has ended, and even if something had worked for a really long time, it's seeing how something was working and at the same time not working, and maybe discovering the secrets or the unknowns of, oh, I didn't know that about this situation. I didn't know that about this person. I didn't have this awareness before. I didn't understand. I wasn't allowing myself to see something. I was keeping myself in the dark about something. This is the intense bright light, the coming out of the darkness that can be a little bit jarring, and having to recognize that a cycle, regardless of the goods about it, the bads about it, everything in between about it, has come to a close, and you have changed, and you can't go back. But it's not easy to be in this upside down place. It can feel, it's like in the newness of having a new perspective, of understanding how a situation or a relationship has been in your life and how it's been affecting you or not affecting you, or how it's made you feel perhaps disassociated. Perhaps something was so intense that you felt disassociated or not even in your body around that person or that environment. This can be the intensity of landing back in your body and feel like, oh wow, I'm here and it doesn't feel good. Or I've reached the other side and this feels good. I don't want to go back there. This is the shakeup. This is the divine disruption. This is what had to happen for you to move to the next place. As unsettling as it can be, it's also exciting, right? But there are unknowns. It's like a secret that you're keeping to yourself around how impossible something is not. That there's something that's possible that you want. There are a lot of things that are possible that you want. But you had to be open to a kind of enlightenment around it. And often those enlightenments can come around very intense experiences. And we can feel upside down. It can turn our lives upside down. And it can take quite a while. It can take a cycle to even be able to sort this out and feel like you have become the observer. For many of you, this has been approximately a year, give or take, that something has been changing and shifting, and it's almost like, well, it's going to go back to the way it is. Or, okay, maybe this has shifted, but I could somehow maneuver around this, or I can make this work again, or if I change this, or if I change that about it, it'll kind of go back, or it'll look something like something that I recognize or feel comfortable with. And it's the intense realization that even something that was working for you is not something that you even really want anymore. That there was an uncomfortableness that you were allowing yourself to feel. So this uncomfortableness was intense, but also in this recognition and coming to the other side of it and not fighting with yourself anymore. landing back in your body, having a little bit of peace and quiet and rest, that can be uncomfortable too if you're not used to it. It can feel overwhelming to receive if you're not used to receiving. That can feel intense. So that's why this integration piece is so important, about really leaning into the surrender place of being quiet with yourself and surrounding yourself with people that are encouraging, that are in alignment to who you are now, that you can have these conversations with. And they're like, I get you. The moment you say that, like, I totally understand what you're saying. And it's like you're finding people in your life where you have your own language, where it's like they're describing their wants, wishes, and daydreams. And they're like, God, I don't know. Like, when I try to describe this to people, they don't get it. And you're like, oh, I get it. When they get you. And making decisions and choices. This makes us, here's the Two of Pentacles and the Two of Swords. So it's a lot of decisions, and you do have to contemplate, reflect. There's a certain mind aspect to this. It's like, how can I use the mind in a productive way where I'm not overanalyzing and getting myself stuck, so that I can make the right decisions here in this place where I'm living, on this earth, so that I can manifest and produce the things that I want to for myself, emotionally, spiritually, physically, our relationships, our work, our personal growth. And not getting upset or angry with yourself for wanting to make different decisions than you have before. And it's okay to put the blindfold on and to not necessarily look at how things look, but feel into how it feels, to make the decision up here about what you want to manifest out here, so that there's balance, so that it's balanced. So there's, sometimes we need a little here on this part of our life, sometimes this part of our life. And then we go back and forth in between. And the Four of Wands came out. So this feels creating home, union with the self, claiming your own autonomy. Feels like the marriage of yourself in a space that's open, in a home that you create for yourself within, that has a lot of space in it. And from that, you can bring in the other, the partner, the partners, the friendships, to bring in the lovers and the romantic interests that want to be with you for your unique self, that don't want to have a stake in your sovereignty or feel like it's all about what they can give and they can feel proud of themselves. It's about creating a partnership where it's very reciprocal and someone's ego is not involved in what they feel is like creating something for you or giving this to you or they did that for you. It's about giving to each other. Because you are strong, you're passionate, you're stubborn. This is not being afraid of the energy of anger and recognizing that that energy could also be that creation energy. And I always talk about this, that anything can be part of our creation. And perhaps some of what's been happening here in this cycle makes you angry, or it hasn't been fair, or it hasn't been right. And it makes you want to go down, right? But after that rest period, it's about reclaiming yourself and your energy for you. And as opposed to, acknowledging anger, not feeling like it's bad, realizing that that's there for your protection. It had a spot in your life that was important for your safety and security, and also to get you out of a place that was not good for you. That anger can spark really good change if we allow it to move through us and we don't allow it to sit there in this lump that takes over, but we use it as our will, as our desire. And again, as the womb of creation, the source of creation. So this week is all about the source of creation and recognizing that a cycle truly has ended, that there's been intensity, that there's a rest period, and you are the leader and the spiritual leader and the creative leader of your own life. So I thank you for being here. Give this a thumbs up. It would really mean the world to me. It would really help me out. Please subscribe if you're feeling called and you want to come hang out with me more. I would absolutely be honored to have you here. Please check out weekly energies that come up every Monday. Check out the Career Path Insights on Wednesday, Love Path Insights on Friday. And I love having you here. I appreciate you. I create these for you, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye.